Hey guys, welcome to another video with InfoSec Joe. Today we're going to be talking about virtual machines and ISO files. So if you are new and have no idea how to install a virtual machine or how to install an operating system on that virtual machine, I'm going to be showing you my method. With furthermost, you know how I am, let's just get started. So I actually already have a virtual machine program on my computer, and I use VMware Workstation Pro. It does cost money, so if you're looking for the Pro version, then you're looking at forking out some cash. But we don't have to get the Pro version, we don't have to spend any money. There's different types of virtual machines out there like Oracle or virtual desktop and stuff like that. But we're just going to stick to what I know, which is VMware Workstation. If, like I said, you have no knowledge of this or you don't really know, then this is a great video for you because I'm going to show you how to install it and then how to actually install the operating system on top of it. So let's get started. So we'll open up Google. We'll go ahead and head on over to our Google. And when we are here, we're just going to type VMware Workstation download. And it prompts us automatically with Pro because it knows that I have Pro. But we're just going to use download Workstation Player, which should be right here. And we can just scroll on down here, try Workstation 16.0 Player for Windows. Download VM Workstation Player. Platform is running a single virtual machine. Try it now for free. Contact us. Okay, interesting. Oh. I guess I don't know where I read Pro at, but anyways, the download's right here at the bottom when you scroll down. I apologize. So you just go ahead and click that and hit download now. It's gonna go ahead and download. I'm gonna go ahead and hit, I'm actually just gonna close this out, and you're gonna go through the install process. Now there's nothing spectacular about that install process. Basically, once you've installed it and gone through a few simple next, virtual machine is gonna open up, and it should look something like this. So at this point in time, what we want to do is we want to create a new virtual machine, which we can do right here. So we're going to go ahead and click on that, and then you're going to be prompted with a welcome new virtual machine wizard. So normally it's going to tell you that you should probably go the typical recommended, and it'll go ahead and give you a few easy steps. Personally, I don't like that. I want to be able to customize my workstation. So we're going to go ahead and hit custom. We're going to hit next. It's going to ask you for the hardware compatibility. Now, lower the workstation version, lower the virtual machine hardware compatibility. So, always go with the highest one, which is 16.2.x, and that's giving you the outmost compatible products, where you can run 128 gigs of memory, 32 gigs of processing speed, or processors, sorry, 10 network adapters if you have that. It'll hold up to 8 terabytes of disk storage, and 8 gigabytes of graphics, of shared graphics memory. We can go ahead and hit next here. And this is where we're gonna go ahead and install our operating system. So most days we no longer use disks, but in case you have an older machine and you have a disk, you could pop in your installed disk at this point in time. We don't have that, and we could technically install an operating system later, but I found that this method is a little more difficult. So what we really want to do is we want to install with a disk image file, which is an ISO file. Basically what we can do here is we can actually go back to Google, and based on whatever your preferences is for a whatever operating system you want to use, like example Kali, Parrot, you know, there's so many different types of operating systems out there that, you know, there's a lot. You can, I mean, personally, me, I like Kali, so we're gonna show Kali. And if you literally type Kali, it'll take you to the kali.org website. And do not do what everyone does right away. They immediately click on the download. What you can do is you can simply come up to, I think it is developers and then packages. Nope. And you actually do want to click download. I'm being an idiot right now and I apologize. Right here in the middle, it's very, very bright for me. I'm just going to go ahead and click dark. And we're going to scroll down just a little bit and we're going to talk about this. So There's two different types of methods for installing a virtual machine. One is the actual virtual machine file, and then another is a bare metal. So a bare metal would be the ISO, okay? That's an ISO, it's a bare metal. That's like you going to the store back in the day and purchasing the Windows disk and popping it in there and it's spinning up and reading it. So it is an actual bare bones or bare metals, what they call it, installer. If you scroll down even more, we actually have the VMware 64. I'm not a fan of this. Every time I've tried to do this, I've failed miserably. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. Oh, there's also VirtualBox 2 here as well, if you like to use that as another program. We're actually going to use the ISO bare metal kit. I'm going to make sure that 64-bit is checked off, as I have Windows 64-bit. And there's also the Apple M1 here as well, too. And all we're going to do is we're going to download. Now, it is a 2.4 gigabyte file. I'm sorry, 2.9. So it's 3 gigs. So it could take you some time. As you can tell here, I have very fast internet. I'm going to go ahead and pause the video so that we're not sitting here for the next 30 to 50 seconds. And I will unpause when we are good to go. All right, so awesome. We have our ISO file. You could simply click here and show in folder, and it'll pull up, and you can go ahead and see that's in your downloads. So we're going to minimize this. We're going to go back to here, and right where we're back in our VMware, it says installer disk image. We're going to hit browse, and we can see it's right here in today. We've selected our ISO. Could not detect an operating system. Ignore this. We'll bypass this here in a second. We can hit next. It's asking you the guest operating system. Well, it's not asking our operating system. This is a guest. So this is Linux. And the version, I like Debian. Everyone has their own preferences, but I like Debian 64-bit. I'm gonna go ahead and hit next. And then it's gonna ask us, what do we want to name our virtual machine? We're gonna name our virtual machine YouTube. And we're going to change the browsing, and I'm going to go ahead and go to my PC. I'm going to go ahead and click on my storage drive, and I believe I should have it in a separate desktop, which is my virtual machines, and we can go ahead and hit OK. So that pretty much means that all the files and stuff are going to be saved on this particular machine, on this particular hard drive. We can go ahead and hit next. The specific location appears to contain an existing virtual machine. Have 2 virtual machines installed in the same location can cause problems, including loss of data, or 2 virtual machines having the same name. Would you like to continue with this location? I was unaware of this, so we'll just come in here. We'll go to desktop. We'll make a new folder. We'll call it YouTube Virtual Machine. Click OK. And there we go. Next. How many number of processes? This does not have to be heavy. I could go up to, I believe I can go up to 8. I'm not going to do that. It's going to go to 2. This is the number of cores per processor. So if I change this to 3, obviously then that means we're using 6. I don't want that. We'll just leave it set to 1. We can go ahead and hit next. And now we're going to be talking about the memory for the virtual RAM. Now the memory for the virtual RAM does not need to be higher than 2 gigs. You really don't. If you have that, if you have a lot of RAM inside your machine, like I do, where I have 32 gigs of RAM, which is pretty standard these days, it's not really considered a lot, then you can bump it up. I usually run it about 8, and we can just go ahead and hit next. Now this is the super important part. This is asking what kind of network do we want to set up on our virtual machine. Now, because we're using our network card on our local machine, what we would like to do is you would normally want to say use bridged. Give the guest operating system direct access to the external Ethernet network. The guest must have its own IP address on the external network. That would be the easiest way. I've always had problems using a bridge network. I always like to use NAT. Give the guest operating system access to the host computer dial-up or external Ethernet network connection using the host IP address. This is a little more, sturdy, in my eyes, or my understandings. I'm going to go ahead and click next. This always comes up as recommended. I really have no idea what an I/O controller is. I guess shame on me. I should go out and research that. But like I said, my channel is always open for suggestions and advice and help. So we just click next. I actually have an NVMe, but that's on my C drive. I do have an SSD on the drive that we're on, but they don't offer that. So I'm just gonna go ahead and leave this set to SCSI for the disk type. This is super important too. I like to use create a new virtual disk, use existing virtual disk, or choose the option to get the virtual machine direct access to the local hard drive disk. You never want to set this because in case you're doing something like ethical hacking, if someone breaks into your virtual machine while you're using it and you're not aware of it, you've just given them access to your local machine. So create a new disk. A virtual disk is composed for one or more files in the host file systems, which will appear as a single hard disk to the guest operating system. Virtual hard disk can easily be copied or moved on the same host or between hosts. This is very simple and easy in case something were to happen or you want to move your information to maybe a different folder. It's its own separate virtual disk drive. So we leave it as create a new virtual disk drive. This is super important. So capacity. How much capacity should we use? Joe, can I get away with 20 gigabytes? You can. You absolutely can. But we're going to be doing some things within Kali that's going to require a lot of storage. So I necessarily like to bump this up to either 80 gigs or even 120. Some of you are going to come to here and be like, that is super overkill, Joe. And you're absolutely right. I'm not saying that you're not. But there will be times where if I'm using this, I have gotten close to that 80 gigs and I've kind of been like, So we're going to choose 120 gigabytes of storage space. I like to store the virtual disk as a single file. I don't want multiple files. It's just my preference. We can go ahead and click next. This is going to be the name because we've named it YouTube. And we're going to hit next. And we're going to hit finish. And we should see here our virtual machine. So now we're good to go. You can see that we have our processor set to 2, our memory is 8 gigs, hard disk storage space is 120, our network adapter is set to NAT, and we're solid. So let's power on this virtual machine. And I apologize for the loud beep. So it's been prompted up with like a Kali installer menu for the BIOS mode. Easiest and most friendliest is just going ahead and hitting enter on our keyboard on the graphical install. You could use your up and down arrows to navigate and mess with different types of installs, but I've always found the graphical install the easiest. So we'll go ahead and hit enter. It's going to go ahead and ask us what type of language we want. We want English, or select whatever preference English you speak fluently in. Your location, United States. The keyboard type. You want to make sure that it's configured for American English if you're American. There are different types of keyboard variations out there. And it's scanning the installation media. Should prompt us with the hard disk drive now. Well, it'll be network and then disk drive. So it's already made this link. This is a very good sign. So it's making that connection between our local network, and now it's configuring the DHCP with our network as well. This is probably going to be a long video as this part does take some time. I will pause it and unpause it throughout the video. So your network is probably not using DHCP protocol. Alternatively, the DHCP server may be slow or some network hardware is not working properly. We can just go ahead and hit continue. So we can go ahead and retry network auto configuration. See if it goes ahead and connects with the DHCP. So we're still receiving the same problems. We could try network auto configuration with a DHCP hostname. And we're not going to do this on here. I'm going to go ahead and pause the video. Alright, so I made a mistake. We're actually going to come back to the network adapter. We're going to open this up, and we're actually going to change this from NAT to bridged. And we're going to replicate the physical network connection state. Can't read, wow. And we're going to go ahead and power on the machine now to see if this fixes it. Once again, I apologize for the loud beep. American English, and let's see if we're able to get a solid connection between the two. Cool. So we were actually able to do that. Please enter a host name for the system. The host name is a single word that identifies the system to the network. If you don't know what your host name should be, consult your network administrator. If you're setting up your own home network, you can make it something up here. So like I said, host name can be anything. We're just going to go ahead and put VM. We could do virtual machine Kali, so that if we ever need to do any sniffing on our own network, then we know that that's the virtual machine. We go ahead and hit contains, invalid host name and contain, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so we're just going to name it Kali. So domain name is part of the internet address right under your host name. It is often something that ends up with .com, blah, 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 blah. You can make something up, but make sure you set the same domain on all your computers. Let's just name it YouTube. Full name of the new user? Well, we are InfoSec Joe. Probably not going to like capitalization and space. Select a username for the new account. Combination numbers and more lowercase letters. Do that. Doesn't like. I'll just call it Joe. Okay, now this password is going to be the password that you need to set up to log into your actual account when we first boot Kali up, and it's also going to be your root password. So set it to something that you're familiar with, set it to something that you're going to remember. Time zone, I am Central. And it should just go ahead and start installing. Oh, we need to do the partition. Use entire disk. 128 gigabytes. All files in one partition. Makes it easy. Finish the partitioning and write the disk. Write the changes to disk. Yes. Continue. Alright, so now we're installing. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the video at this point in time. Well, maybe not. Is it moving faster than I expected? Guess we don't have to pause. I mean, it's moving. That wasn't too bad, actually. Oh, we've got more. Oh, select and install software. This actually should be pretty quick, which is awesome. I'm a huge fan of Plasma. These are the different types of default tools, I guess you could say, that are standard, like on the desktop. I'm not a fan of GNOME, so I'm just gonna go ahead and just check off KDE Plasma. You could leave both of these blank. It's whatever you like personally. You could even install both of them if you wanted. This is just a personal preference. Like I said, I'm a fan of KDE Plasma. I'll install both of them just for the sake of the video, just to show you. And now we've got 2,700 files to retrieve. So 18 seconds isn't too bad. Cool. So a display manager is a program that provides graphical login capabilities for the X Windows system, meaning as in whatever operating Windows system that we're using. Only one display manager can manage a given X server. By multiple display manager packages are installed, please select which display manager should run by default. Multiple display managers can run simultaneously if they are configured to manage different servers. So basically what this is saying is how do you want the login screen to look based on the type of manager that they have. They have an SSDM, they have Light DM, and then they have a GDM3. I really don't think it matters whatever one you want. We're just going to go with SDDM. Try and keep the video rolling. I know we're coming up on the 20-minute mark. We've actually passed the 20-minute mark, so I apologize. I know this is going to be a long video, but this is worth it if you have no idea how to install your own virtual machine, because I'm literally showing you a step-by-step. Didn't take much longer. You know what, I'll pause the video and I'll wait for it to finish. Alright, so this took me, I don't know, maybe like 5 minutes tops from the time that I paused it to now. This is super important. This is going to talk about the Grub bootloader. I am not going to sit here and act like I am perfect and that I know all of all. I made the mistake of clicking no here and then couldn't figure out why Kali didn't boot. Basically, you know how Windows has BIOS to boot? It goes through that BIOS check and everything. The Grub bootloader is what you need to boot up Kali. If you don't click yes here, your Kali will not boot up. So it's super important. Go ahead and hit continue. And then when it says enter device manually, we're just going to check, go ahead and click the /dev/SDA, because that's where we're telling it to bootload. And then the process should be finalizing the installation. And then it should reboot here in just a few seconds. This doesn't keep pushing along here. I'm going to pause the video again. I keep saying pause the video. I should say pause the recording. I apologize. Cool. So finish installation. We're going to hit continue. Wrapping it up. System's going to go ahead and request a system reboot. And now we are here on our Kali desktop. It's booting up in 2, 1, and it's going to go ahead and take us to our login screen. So now at this point in time, you've successfully installed a virtual machine. You've successfully installed a operating system on your virtual machine. You've successfully connected your home network to the virtual machine as well. So the operating system should have internet access. Here we're going to go ahead and type in that password we talked about for the login, and it should take us to our desktop. Now, normally when you first boot up Windows, everything is, out of date. It's an ISO file. You need to update all your stuff. You need to go through everything. This is the GNOME display for the manager. Like I said, I'm not a fan of this. What we can do is we can go into the top right where the little power icon is, and we should be able to choose power off and log out. And we would like to log out. Log out. Oh, looks like that got an error. We're just gonna go ahead and restart the system. I don't know why that was causing problems. But the whole purpose of what I'm trying to show you here is how to change it. And you change it from the actual login screen. I didn't know how to change it at first, and with some tinkering and playing around, I was able to figure it out. So once it takes us to our login screen here, I can show you. Like I said, I don't mind GNOME, but my personal favorite is Plasma. So right here, I believe we are bottom left corner. Down here in the bottom left corner, we can actually change this to Plasma X11, and we can go ahead and log in now. And this should change our entire desktop to the customization the way that I like it. You can play with them, see which one you like, tinker around if you like. So cool. So like I was saying earlier, obviously we need to update. So the first thing I do is I normally put up a terminal, and how you can do that is by holding Control Alt and T if you want the shortcut way. If you don't want the shortcut way, then you would just come down here and click the terminal button, and it would open up. Now that we have this, I always like to work in root. So we will sudo su to go into the root. It's going to say, hey, we need your password. Make sure that you're actually that administrator user, which we are. We're going to type clear to clear this up. And then we can do an app. I believe it's update. Or app install update. Okay, what about app upgrade? Cool, all right. So it looks like everything's pretty much okay at this point in time. So one of my favorite things to do, like I was telling you about, is install a few different types of programs. One of them is Yaquake, which I will talk about here in just a second. We're going to do an app-get space install Yaquake and a -y at the end. Why do we put a -y at the end? We put a -y at the end because we want to say yes to any questions that it may ask us during the process. Are you sure you want to install this? Yeah. This package is being installed. Are you aware? Yes. We can also see that we actually do have updates. They're over here in the bottom right corner. What I'm going to do is I'm going to also do an app-get install Kali Linux everything -y. Now this will take 30 to 40 minutes. I'm not going to lie. I am not going to make you guys sit here for another 30-40 minutes. But this is one of my favorite things to do, and it's one of the first things I ever do besides install Yaquake and this, and I will say yes. So it's going to go nuts. It's going to sit here and it's going to grab all these different files and folders and everything. And this is basically installing almost everything that Kali Linux has to offer. It's important that you put that -y at the end because you're installing 6 gigs worth of stuff here. And you can see there's a little timer at the bottom. And it's downloading everything right now. It hasn't even started the installation process yet. So this will take some time. Let it do its thing, let it run its course. And when it's finished, I'm going to unpause the recording and we'll go from there. I'm going to quickly unpause really quickly in case you guys see these come up at all, like restart services during packages. You can select yes. We're gonna do a reboot anyways on the box, so just make sure you hit yes. Back here for a few seconds. When you guys are seeing this right now, that's happening. This is actually it finishing and finalizing it up. Not only does it have to download, but then it unpackages it, and then now it's setting up each individual package. And some of you are probably wondering, like, Joe, why are we doing this? So Kali comes with a lot of the pre-built-in pen test or I guess, yeah, you know what, pen testing tools, but I like to have everything. I always hate when I'm working on a box and I come to the realization that there's a program or, a program that I want to use, but I don't have it installed. So I have to go figure out what program it is because I have to figure out how to type it into the CLI. And that just takes my time away from working on what I'm working. If I do everything now when I'm setting it up, it makes things a lot more easier and less complicated down the road. So basically what this does is it just goes out and installs everything that Kali Linux has to offer and puts it on your machine. Hence why I said earlier earlier in the video that like having a big storage drive is super important, because you will fill it up very quickly by doing something like this. It should be finalizing everything as we speak. You will see it stall from time to time like this. That's completely normal. Just let it do its course, let it run its natural state. Don't interrupt it. Don't control C. Don't be trying to do updates or anything in the background. You're better off just leaving it alone and letting it do its thing. Sometimes I've noticed that if I click off and I'm like on my other monitor and I'm doing something, it'll stop like this, and I just usually come over and like maybe left click onto the screen or maybe click here, and it just kind of like refreshes. Could be just, I don't know, the timing on it. But regardless of that, I just wanted to throw those few things in there so that you guys aren't like, oh, mine stopped, it's not working, and you start pressing enter and then before you know it, you mess it all up. But yeah, like this is super important. What you can do while you're waiting, if you'd like, if you actually open this up and go to auto start, remember how we installed Yachtquake? We can go to auto start, and right here there's a little add sign. We can add that, and we're going to add an application. Now obviously, like Windows, you can set certain programs to start when you open up your machine. In this case, I want Yachtquake to auto start when I open up my machine, when I log into my machine. So if you just type YAK, Yachtquake is immediately right there. You can go ahead and hit OK, and now it's set. So when we log in next time, we will be prompt with Yachtquake. One other thing that I like to do as well is I like to drag over my... should have did that? Do this. Let's go to downloads, and let's move my... well, it's not copying. All right, we'll get my logo over there. Anyways, we're gonna come here, and we're gonna go ahead and power off. Open up the machine again. Just like any other machine, when you do a lot of updates, it's super important that you go in there and actually restart, refresh the entire system. Because remember when I was telling you about when those prompts come up, like, do you want to stop these services from running so that they can be updated, and you say yes, and you try and use them, you're just going to end up breaking it. So we'll go ahead and log in. And what Yachtquake should come up in the middle of our screen here in just a few seconds. And what Yachtquake is it's a terminal. And the nice thing about this terminal is by using the F12 key, and you can see here where prompt, we can actually change that key to whatever we'd like with customization. We're going to leave it on F12 because I like it on F12. With F12, we can open up a terminal that's in and out. This is where I like to use this terminal. I use for my VPN connections. So when we start breaking into boxes on Hack the Box together, or showing you walkthroughs, if you ever see this come up and down, it's because I'm probably trying to check my VPN connection. So one thing that's super important as well is when I log in too, I like to always make sure that I check my updates and make sure that we're updating. We can just go ahead and choose update all, and you will notice that the following packages will be removed, which is the Linux, Kali, everything. And some people see this and they spot this and they're like, Joe, should I still proceed? Absolutely, still proceed. It's going to ask you for your login. You're going to go ahead and pop that in there, and you're going to let it run its course and update. As of right now, today we have installed a virtual machine. We've installed an operating system, and I've shown you a few steps that I take when I get onto a new fresh box. I want to appreciate you guys watching. I know the video is kind of long, but I look forward for the next time. You guys take care.